You are not trapped in your head. You are hiding there. You call it overthinking. You call it being careful. You call it intelligence. But in the brutal architecture of reality, it is none of those things. It is cowardice dressed in the costume of wisdom. There is a prison you built yourself. Stone by stone. Thought by thought. You constructed walls so thick that the world outside became a distant echo. And now you pace in circles, analyzing the shadows on the wall, calling it consciousness, calling it depth. But Plato knew what you refused to admit. The shadows are not reality. The cave is not safety. It is a tomb. And you are burying yourself alive while calling it philosophy. You know what I am talking about. You have spent hours, days, years trapped in the labyrinth of your own mind. Perhaps you are there right now. 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who commanded the largest empire on earth, understood something that modern psychology refuses to teach you. He wrote it in his private journals, never meant for publication. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But here is the truth that civilized society buries. Beneath layers of therapy speak and self-help narcissism. The real enemy is not your circumstances. The real enemy is not your past. The real enemy is the spectator you have become in your own life. The voice in your head that comments on everything but does nothing. The internal narrator who has convinced you that thinking about living is the same as living. Today we are going to perform an execution. We are going to kill the phantom that lives in your skull. The one that whispers endless scenarios of failure. The one that replays every humiliation. The one that constructs elaborate fortresses of anticipation and calls it preparation. If you are exhausted by the tyranny of your own thoughts, if you are ready to stop being the prisoner and become the warden, listen closely. This might be the only lesson that sets you free. But be warned. Once you see the mechanics of your own mental trap, you cannot return to the comfort of unconscious suffering. Why do you do it? Why do you retreat into the fortress of thought when life demands action? Because you have been taught the most dangerous lie in human psychology. You have been taught that more thinking equals better decisions. That more analysis equals more safety. That if you just consider every angle, examine every possibility, you will somehow be protected from pain. The man who hesitates is lost. But it is deeper than hesitation. You are not pausing to gather strength. You are hiding from the battlefield while convincing yourself you are studying strategy. This is what I call the thought addiction. It operates exactly like any other addiction. The substance is analysis. The high is the illusion of control. The withdrawal is the terror of the present moment. And like any addict, you have built an elaborate system of justification for why you need just one more hour of rumination before you act. Your mind has become a black hole. It pulls everything into its gravitational field. Experiences become memories to analyze. Possibilities become scenarios to calculate. People become variables to predict. And you become a ghost. A consciousness without a body. A voice without a throat. I am going to reveal the 5 psychological mechanisms that keep you trapped in mental prison. Each one more subtle than the last. By the end you will see the architecture of your cage. And once you see it, the bars begin to dissolve. The first mechanism is what the Stoics called pre-suffering. But it is more insidious than that. You are not just imagining future pain. You are rehearsing it. Over and over. You play out the conversation that might happen, the rejection that could come, the failure that looms ahead. And you tell yourself this is preparation. You know this pattern. Before you send the message, you rewrite it 17 times in your head. Before the phone call, you script both sides of the conversation. Before you walk into the room, you have already played out every possible social disaster. It is relentless. It is exhausting. And it feels responsible. The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. Listen to what he is saying. Adapts. Present tense. Real time. Not the one who pre-adapts to imaginary times. The warrior who survives is the one who reads the battlefield as it unfolds, not the one who stayed home planning for every possible battle. Why do you do it? Because rehearsal creates the illusion of competence without the risk of failure. In your head you can edit. You can pause. You can construct the perfect response. But reality does not have a rewind button. Reality is a flowing river, and you are standing on the bank, calculating the exact angle of entry while the river flows past you. Here is the trap. You think that by rehearsing you are building confidence, but you are doing the opposite. Every rehearsal reinforces the belief that spontaneous action is dangerous. Every mental script strengthens the conviction that you cannot trust your instincts. You are training yourself to be helpless. The consequence is permanent performance anxiety. Because no matter how much you rehearse, reality never follows your script. The person responds in a way you did not anticipate. And then you freeze. Or worse, you retreat back into your head to rehearse the new scenario. The rehearsal becomes infinite. The action never comes. Stop rehearsing your life. The gladiator does not stand outside the arena running through combat scenarios. He enters the sand that he reads his opponent in real time. He adapts or he dies. Your life demands the same ferocity, the same presence. Marcus Aurelius faced daily decisions that affected millions. Wars, famines, political betrayals. And his philosophy was ruthlessly simple. Do what is necessary. And work with whatever nature has given you. Not what you wish you had. Not what you rehearsed having. What is actually in front of you. Now, I know you feel it. The weight of all those unperformed rehearsals. The exhaustion of living in the future tense. Your mind is a theater where you are the only actor, the only audience, and the show never ends. The second mechanism is more sophisticated. It wears the mask of intelligence. You are not just overthinking. You are analyzing. You are being rational. You are being thorough. And anyone who suggests you stop must be impulsive, reckless, stupid. This is the trap of the intellectual. The belief that more data equals better decisions. That if you just read one more article, consider one more angle, the correct path will reveal itself in perfect clarity. You know this paralysis. You want to start the business, but first you need to research every competitor. You want to end the relationship, but first you need to analyze whether you are being hasty. You want to move to the new city, but first you need to calculate cost of living, job prospects, climate data, crime statistics. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. But you cannot seize opportunity while you are still analyzing. Whether the chaos is actually chaos or just a temporary disruption that might resolve itself if you gather more data. Why do you do it? Because analysis feels like progress. Your brain cannot distinguish between thinking about doing something and actually doing it. The same reward circuits fire. You get dopamine from planning the gym routine you never execute. From researching the book you never write. From mapping the life you never live. But there is something darker beneath this. Analysis is a defense mechanism. As long as you are still analyzing, you cannot fail. Failure only exists in action. As long as you are gathering information, you are still responsible, still diligent. The shame of inaction is delayed indefinitely. Be why the illusion of thorough preparation. Here is what happens when you build this fortress. You become disconnected from your instincts. Your body knows what it wants. Your gut delivers clear signals. But you have trained yourself to distrust these signals. You label them as emotional or irrational. You demand that every impulse pass through the bureaucracy of conscious analysis. And slowly you become a stranger to yourself. You no longer know what you actually want because every desire is immediately sent to the analysis chamber to be tested for validity. The desire is dissected until nothing remains but bloodless concepts. The ancient warriors had a practice. When faced with a crucial decision, they would feel into their body, they would notice where the tension lived. They would trust the wisdom that predates language. Not because the body is always right, but because the body is immediate. The body lives in the present tense. The prescription is brutal but necessary. Set a decision deadline. Give yourself a fixed amount of time to gather information. And when the deadline arrives, you act on whatever you have. Not because you have perfect information, but because perfect information does not exist. And the cost of waiting for it is the life you are not living. You know how many decisions you have delayed. The opportunities that expired while you were still calculating. The relationships that dissolved while you were still analyzing. Time does not care about your need for certainty. The third mechanism is the darkest. This is not about the future. This is about the past. The endless replaying of what happened. The conversation you should have handled differently. The opportunity you missed. The betrayal you did not see coming. You are trapped in a loop. The same scenes play over and over. You rewrite them in your mind. You construct better versions of yourself. And each replay deepens the groove. Each replay makes it harder to escape. This is psychological self-harm. You are picking at a wound that is trying to heal. You are refreshing the pain, keeping it vivid, preventing the natural process of integration. And you tell yourself you are learning from the past. But you are not processing. You are ruminating. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Why do you do it? Because rumination creates the illusion of control over the uncontrollable. The past cannot be changed. This is unbearable to the ego. So the ego does the only thing it can. It replays the past, trying different responses, imagining different outcomes. It is the mind's futile attempt to rewrite history. But there is another reason. Darker. Rumination protects you from the present. As long as you are trapped in analyzing what went wrong before, you do not have to face what is required of you now. The past becomes a hiding place, a bomb shelter where you can avoid the demands of current reality. Here is the trap. You think you are being responsible by examining your mistakes. But you are confusing rumination with reflection. Reflection is a brief examination of what happened and what can be learned. It happens once, maybe twice. Then it is integrated. Rumination is the compulsive return, the endless loop, the picking at the scab. The consequence is that you become a historian of your own suffering, an archivist of pain. You can recite every betrayal in perfect detail. You have built a museum in your mind and you give yourself tours daily. And while you are walking these halls of memory, life is happening outside. Opportunities are arriving and departing. People are reaching out and giving up. The Stoics had a practice for this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. Not because the past does not matter, but because the past is finished. It has delivered its data. It has given its lesson. And now it must be released. Stop giving the past rent-free space in your mind. The landlord is you. The tenant is memory. And the tenant has overstayed its welcome. When the memory arises, you do not engage. You do not debate whether you should think about it. You simply label it memory. And you return to the present. What is in front of you right now? What does this moment require? Breathe. I know this is cutting deep. I know you are seeing the prison bars, the rehearsal chamber, the analysis fortress, the rumination loop. These are the walls you built, stone by stone, thought by thought. The fourth mechanism is where it gets truly dangerous. You have created an identity around being in your head. You are the thoughtful one, the deep one, the intellectual, the philosopher. And this identity has become a cage. Because if you stop overthinking, who are you? If you become spontaneous, are you betraying your nature? If you act without analysis, are you abandoning the very thing that makes you valuable? You know this trap. Someone suggests you be more spontaneous, more present. And something in you resists. Not because you do not want those things, but because they threaten the story you tell about yourself. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Notice he does not say the wise man thinks about doing it. He does it at once. Because wisdom is not the accumulation of thoughts. Wisdom is the capacity for right action in the moment. The fool also eventually acts, but only after exhausting every alternative, after the opportunity has degraded. Why do you cling to this identity? Because identity provides certainty in an uncertain world. If you know who you are, you have a map. You have a role. Even if that script is self-destructive, it is familiar. And the human nervous system will choose familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility every time. But here is what you must understand. The identity is not you. The thinker is not who you are. It is a strategy you adopted, probably in childhood. To feel safe in an unsafe world. That strategy worked. For a time. But now it is strangling you. The armor you put on as a child has become too small. But you cannot take it off because you believe it is your skin. Here is the trap. Every time you act against your identity, you feel like an imposter. You take spontaneous action and your mind screams this is not who you are. You skip the analysis and move on instinct and you feel fraudulent. So you retreat back into the familiar pattern. Back into the overthinking. Because at least there you know who you are. The consequence is permanent self-betrayal. Because beneath the identity, beneath the story, there is the actual you. The one who wants to act. The one who is tired of spectating. The one who feels the pull of life and wants to answer it. But you have buried that self beneath layers of should be and supposed to be. Stop defending your limitations as if they were virtues. Stop justifying your paralysis by calling it depth. The deepest people are not the ones who think the most. They are the ones who have integrated thought and action into seamless flow. They are present. They are responsive. They are alive. The prescription is identity death. You must be willing to not know who you are. You must be willing to act in ways that feel foreign. You must be willing to be the person who responds spontaneously, who trusts their gut, who moves before they are ready. Faces are flashing in your mind. Not other people this time. Versions of yourself. The one who acts without permission from the committee in your head. You have been calling that person reckless. What if that person is free? The fifth mechanism is the most seductive. You believe that you must understand why before you can move forward. You must find the meaning, extract the lesson, understand the pattern. And until you do, action is premature. This is the meaning-making machine. Your mind has convinced you that everything must mean something. Every emotion must be analyzed for its root cause. Every impulse must be traced back to childhood. You are not living your life. You are interpreting it. You know this pattern. You feel anxiety. But instead of simply feeling it and continuing with your day, you must understand it. Where did it come from? What is it trying to tell me? What childhood wound is activating? You turn every feeling into a research project. You have power over your mind, not outside events. But you have inverted this wisdom. You think you must understand your mind before you can have power over it. You are trying to think your way out of thinking. It is like trying to use a knife to cut itself. Why do you do it? Because meaning creates the illusion of control. If you can understand why you feel anxious, you believe you can fix it. If you can trace your relationship patterns back to your parents, you believe you can change them. But here is the brutal truth. Most of your thoughts do not mean anything. They are noise. They are the background radiation of a nervous system that evolved to detect threats. The anxiety you feel might not be a message from your subconscious. It might just be caffeine, or poor sleep, or the fact that you are a biological organism with a complex endocrine system that sometimes misfires. Not everything is a symbol. Not everything requires interpretation. Sometimes an emotion is just weather. It arrives. It passes. And trying to understand it is like trying to negotiate with a thunderstorm. Here is the trap. You mistake the map for the territory. You collect psychological concepts like weapons, attachment styles, defense mechanisms, cognitive distortions, and you use these concepts to explain your experience. But explanation is not transformation. Naming your cage does not open it. The consequence is that you become fluent in the language of psychology but incompetent in the language of life. You can describe your anxiety in perfect clinical terms, but you still have not made the phone call. You can trace your avoidance patterns back to their origin, but you still have not entered the room. The Zen masters understood this. When the student asks, "Master, what is the meaning of Zen?" the master hits him with a stick. Not to be cruel, but to shock him out of the meaning-making trap. Some truths cannot be thought, they can only be lived. Some questions are not answered by finding meaning. They are answered by dropping the question and acting. Stop demanding that everything means something. Stop trying to understand your way into transformation. Understanding is a tool, but you have mistaken it for the destination. The prescription is ruthless pragmatism. Does this thought serve you right now? No. Then drop it. Does analyzing this feeling change anything? No. Then feel it and move. Does understanding why you are stuck actually get you unstuck? No. Then stop trying to understand and start moving. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. You do not think your way into a new life. You act your way into a new life. Now you see them. The 5 mechanisms that keep you trapped. The rehearsal addiction. The analysis fortress. The rumination loop. The identity trap. The meaning-making machine. You see them operating in your daily life. In your relationships. In your career. In every moment you choose thought over action. And you feel a heaviness. Because you realize that to break free, you must betray the person you thought you were. You must abandon the strategies that kept you safe. You must step into the unknown without the comfort of perfect preparation, complete understanding, or guaranteed outcome. You will be called reckless by those who are still hiding. You will be called impulsive by those who mistake paralysis for wisdom. You will be called superficial by those who have made a religion out of analysis. Good. Let them call you whatever they need. To call you to justify their own prisons. What they call recklessness, the alive call presence. What they call impulsiveness, the free call spontaneity. What they call superficial, the wise call direct. You must transition from the analyst to the actor. The analyst studies life from a distance, taking notes, forming theories, building models. The actor enters life. The actor improvises. The actor trusts that the script will reveal itself in real time. This is the ultimate lesson. You are not here to understand life. You are here to live it. Understanding might come. Meaning might emerge. Clarity might arrive. But they come from action, not before it. They are the fruit, not the seed. When you stop trying to think your way into living, a strange thing happens. Your anxiety decreases because you are no longer trying to control the uncontrollable. Your energy returns because you are no longer burning it in the furnace of endless analysis. Your relationships deepen because you are actually present with people instead of observing yourself being with people. You become the lighthouse instead of the ship. You stand in one place, the present moment, and you shine your light on whatever is actually happening. You stop trying to illuminate the entire ocean at once. You simply shine. And those who need your light will see it. And either way you remain. Present. Embodied. Alive. But be careful. Because as you step out of your head and into your life, you will face a final enemy. The most dangerous one of all. Silence. When the constant noise of analysis stops. When the rehearsal theater goes dark, when the rumination loop is broken, you will hear something underneath. Maybe it is wisdom. Maybe it is instinct. Maybe it is the voice you have been drowning out with thought for your entire life. Or maybe it is emptiness. Maybe when you stop thinking, there is nothing there. Maybe the person you are beneath all the analysis is someone you do not recognize. Someone you are not sure you like. What if you have been using thought to avoid feeling? What if the overthinking is not the problem, but the symptom? What if beneath all that mental noise, there is a scream you have been refusing to hear? That is a shadow for another time. If this showed you the architecture of your cage, understand this is only what I can show publicly. There are videos I cannot upload for everyone. There are techniques of consciousness, practices of mental discipline, methods of identity dissolution that I simply cannot discuss on YouTube without being censored or demonetized. The algorithm suppresses the most powerful information. If you are still here, you are not like the others. Subscribe if you have not. But if you want what is hidden, click the join button and step into the architect level. You will unlock exclusive and censored videos that dive into the deepest mechanics of mental liberation. Videos on identity death. Videos on the dark side of consciousness. Videos on techniques the ancient mystery schools used to shatter the prison of thought. Most will not take this step. That is the point. The cage is comfortable, the head is familiar, and most people would rather die in a prison they understand than risk freedom in a world they do not. The choice is yours. The choice is yours.